As a Baptist and as a preacher's kid, so there's a lot of pressure when you're living in this fishbowl and your dad's like the head of the church and you need to uphold this certain image. When I was doing something wrong, I went through a very rebellious phase. There was so much internal friction over that. And of course, again, as Baptists, we believed in once saved, always saved. And something about it seemed off to me. I remember asking my dad, I was like, are you sure? Like, I know I'm not living the right way, so we need to be very sure. Like, was I really saved when I said, or did I really know what I was doing? And I never could get that confirmation. There was nothing there like what we have in the sacraments where you hear the words, go, your sins are forgiven. There's nothing like that to give me a definite answer like, yes, check, you were saved, you can move on and you can put that worry aside. And so ironically, instead of, stopping my rebellion and starting to live in a better way, I started drinking more and using more drugs and doing more things to try to get rid of this tension and this fragmenting that I was experiencing and this guilt and this shame. I was doing anything I could to numb myself from it and to forget about it for just a little while. If I could just forget how bad I felt for a little while, then it would be okay. And of course, it's just a cycle that kept going and going. And so it wasn't until I really came into the church and experienced healing in the Sacrament of Reconciliation and hearing those words, being able to know that the priest in the person of Christ is saying, your sins are forgiven. That there is nothing more freeing than that, having that certainty and being able to go from that and move on finally. The difference between therapy and the Sacrament of Confession, I spent 14 years in therapy. Just trying to deal with all the angst of teenage years, the PTSD of just the chaos that I lived through, the bad choices that I made. And therapy can be very good. It can give you, a neutral third party to talk things through. It can give you some tools, ways of dealing with conflict that can be very, very helpful, practically speaking. But it's all dependent on you at the end of the day. It's you having to control or do the thing or think a certain way and change yourself. The Sacrament of Reconciliation, it's not about doing something. It's not about checking a box. It's not about anything you can do for yourself. It's about a relationship and it's about grace, which is just divine life. And those are such two different things. Therapy, a tool, something you can do. Reconciliation, it's relationship. It's the difference, I don't know, between having everything fall on your own shoulders and then him coming to you and saying, I can take that off your shoulders yourself. You don't have to find some special mind trick to make it feel better because I can make it better, truly. They're both good. They both have their spaces, but I don't know, the grace and the sacrament, that's not something you can just get in an armchair. Now that I'm Catholic and I get to go to confession, I go to confession all the time. I try to go weekly. Because one, it keeps me accountable. When you're going to therapy, it's just you and the therapist. You're not beholden to anybody else, really. But when you're having to go to the priest over and over again and say, hey, I did it again, there's something about it that makes you I don't want to have to go back and tell Jesus, because that's who it is. It's Jesus in the person of Christ. Like, hey, I did the same thing again. I promised you last week that I wasn't going to. And again, it's not because it's not a sense of guilt, but it's all about the relationship. Once you've really made your relationship with Christ a personal thing and you realize how much he loves you, it's like going back to your dad. It's like going back to the person that loves you the best and saying, I'm trying and I know you still love me. I still need your help. And I realized, all this time that I spent in therapy, talking about my problems with just another person, what I was really looking for was someone to tell me, it's okay, I still love you. You are not defined by these things. We can move on from that. And that's just not something that therapy can do, but it's something that I have found in the Sacrament of Reconciliation, and I love it so much.